I don't see you.
Okay, give me a second here. Sorry, guys. There we go. How about now?
Hey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go.
It's working.
We did it. We did it. All right, coaches coaching. We're here with Josh
What's
Hillis.
up?
You're gone again.
And stat loss happens on Mondays, right?
Yeah.
That's right, dude. That's
Yeah.
right. So very excited to have him here. Like I said, these other coaches will be walking in here in a second.
Okay.
Lane and Dane. Ashley's on. I think Nick is on as well. Josh, we're very excited to have you here. Thanks for being here.
Yeah.
We appreciate it. Yeah, let's get right into it. I want to start with Nick had a great first question.
Okay.
Let me get it pulled up here. Give me 2 seconds. His first one was, if you were training, how are you, by the way, Josh? Are you doing well this morning?
I'm doing excellent, dude. How about you?
Good. Sorry, I'm so clustered around here. Yeah, anyways, so here's Nick's first question, and then
Okay.
I'm going to have these guys start asking you questions. So,
Cool.
So the first one is, how would your approach to strength training change if you had to train superheroes? And so if you had to train Bruce Banner and he was mad that he missed his PR on deadlift, how would you handle that, Josh? In your expertise, you're a nutrition guy and a strength coach. How would you handle Bruce Banner?
So Bruce Banner, I feel like, he's the Hulk. The madder he gets, the stronger he gets. I'd probably just stay out of his way. If he was really mad about that PR, I think he'd hit the next one. I wouldn't be too stressed about that. That wouldn't be
awesome.
That wouldn't be
good stuff.
Concern.
Good. So Josh, so tell us a little bit. So you wrote the book with Dan, Fat Loss Happens on Monday. So tell us a little bit about that, and then we'll kind of start asking you some questions from there.
Okay.
What was the inspiration for the book? Why did you do it? Where did it come from? All that good stuff.
Yeah. Dan was actually out in Denver, and we were hanging out. This was way before the book, and this was actually like right before he did his first interventions workshop. And he was like, can I run your career through interventions, right? And so his book Interventions and his workshop Interventions was kind of like how he consults with people, how he consults with coaches, usually about athletes. And he was talking to me about what I did with clients like through that lens. And what came out of that was that the biggest things that I do differently are like a habits-based approach for coaching food versus like a diet-based approach. And then also that if we get the food habits right, we don't need to crush people in the gym. And so the idea was that Fat Loss Happens on Monday would be a fairly minimalist workout program, like the minimum amount of volume and the minimum amount of equipment to kind of put working out sort of like on the back burner and put food habits in front. And that was the idea. And wrote an ebook about it that, maybe like 100 people loved, but Dan was one of those, and that turned into a book deal, and now it's sold a bunch of books. That's where it came from. It was essentially like, what would it look like to put food habits first?
Gotcha. Okay. So with that said, what does it look like if somebody was to come and start training with you, if we were to send you a referral? You're in Colorado, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, we should have done this in person. Guys, what were we thinking? Where are you? Are you in Denver?
Yeah. I'm in like South Denver. Like do you know where Corey Merrill is?
Sure,
or like
right
Bonnie
down
Bray?
the street from each other here.
Where are you at?
We're in Willow Creek area in Denver. Centennial.
Oh yeah. Yeah, totally.
So we're not too close, but we're fairly close.
No, I mean,
anyway.
that's
Okay.
15 minutes.
So let's say I want to come and train with you. Let's say I want to come and train with you, Josh.
Yeah.
Hey, where's Nick on this? Let's say I want to come and train with you. What's that first initial consultation look like? What are the first kind of questions you're asking to dig deep, right? Not to get the surface level, I want to lose weight, right? How do you do that?
That's a great question. So most people that come to me are at this point pretty clear that they want to lose weight and that they want to use probably like a different kind of approach from what everyone else is doing. So what I'm going to do, and by different approach, I mean like they've probably already done like 10 or 15 diets. So they're coming to me and they know they're going to get something a little bit different, which changes a little bit. I used to have to spin this more to people that were thinking that they were going to get like another diet. But someone comes to me in the gym, I'm going to send them an assessment about their food behavior, or I'm going to or that's kind of what the conversation is going to center around. Like I think what you're getting about like essentially like goal setting, like how do you get deeper than that? For me, it's mostly like a listening thing. I want them to tell me what their goals are, but I'm listening for their values. So everything that they're saying, I'm trying to figure out like their goal is pointing
say that
towards.
Again. You're listening. You ask them about their goal, but you're listening for what?
Their values.
Okay. So expound on that. Keep going.
So I'm listening for essentially like the kind of person that they want to be, right? And this is something that's sort of like an ongoing assessment, because my clients usually aren't super clear about that at the beginning. I'm looking for what direction we're trying to go, and I'm looking for the kind of person that they want to be, and their goal is like pointing in that direction, and so I'll start off going in that sort of like you said, like kind of shallow, like they come in like, I want to lose weight, you know, and you know that there's more to that. I tend to dig into that over time, right? I'm always listening for, and sometimes actually explicitly asking them like what matters to them, like what kind of person they want to be. And I often have them, I've got like a values card, and I'll have them actually like circle their values, like longevity, reasonableness, strength, like those kinds of things. And that's the deeper level that I'm looking to go to. But the other thing that we spend a lot of time talking about on the first session is what kind of workouts they've done before, what kind of diets they've done before. I'm listening for what worked and what didn't work. The things that worked, I want to connect together, reframe in a way that I'm like, oh, so like all the diets you did before that worked had protein and vegetables. And like, oh, they all broke because they were too rigid. So like I'm listening for the things like where it worked and where it broke, that I can tie together what we're going to do habit-wise. And then the same thing with workouts.
So one thing, you keep kind of saying this, and I think it's important, and I don't know if people are picking it up. You keep mentioning, they think they're going to get another diet. They think they're going to get another diet. And essentially, you know, whenever I read a fat loss book or a weight loss book, and I think most people are in that same mentality, they're thinking, okay, this is going to be my new diet. Yeah. Right? So what are you doing to switch that mentality? You know, because I keep hearing you say, oh, they think they're going to get this, they think they're going to get this. And we have the same, and the reason I ask is because we have the same issue when it comes to our training style, right? Yes. You know, most people are used to working out on machines, they're used to bodybuilding, they're used to, you know, seeing Arnold flexing his arms, that sort of thing, right? And so we have a hard time articulating to them, hey, you can accomplish a lot of those same things from a body comp standpoint, but doing it this way, how do you approach that same thing with nutrition?
So basically we're having that conversation about what worked and what didn't work, about other approaches. And so I'm highlighting like where it broke. I'm highlighting it where it didn't work, right? You're like, okay, so you did these 15 diets before, and it sounds like every single one at some point it broke. At some point it was too rigid for the way your life stress was changing, or it was too rigid for the way your schedule changed. At some point it was too rigid and it broke, and you quote failed. And so the reason we're going to do something different this time is because I want you to lose, because we want to lose the weight once and be done kind of like forever. If we have a skill-based approach, then it's kind of like learning a kettlebell swing. Like the more reps you get in, the better you get, and you're.
Dude, I like that skill-based approach.
It's exact. So once you start explaining food as a skill, everything changes. Everything changes, because it all applies to what we do in the gym. And so instead of them like white knuckling like a diet for the rest of their lives, we're building skills that they get better at every year. Every year it's easier. And so it's one of those things where that's kind of where I hinge it. for
so you're basing it off of a skill set and how to cope with things potentially, those sort of things, and kind of building almost a progression regression model for nutrition.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yes. That exactly.
Right.
I love the way you put that, because that's one of the biggest places where that's another place where diets fail. Is a diet it's like one level. It's like if everyone came into the gym and they're like, all right, everybody deadlift 350 pounds, whether it's your first day or your last or whatever, there's no progression, there's no regression. And we need to Goldilocks our food skills. We need to get it where it's just right for them. So if we're practicing a food skill like eating slowly or eating just enough, we're not going to necessarily practice that at every meal. We're going to scale that to where the client is at that given week. And also given their life stresses that week. Like they may be pretty good at it, but we may dial it back because they've got their in-laws in town and a big project at work, and their kids have 2, soccer games or whatever. And if it's a crazy week, we might dial it back a progression. The same way if someone came in super tired in the gym.
Yeah. No, and that's the funny thing is we were talking, Lane and I were talking yesterday in the car actually about a similar thing, even with just mental health. Progression regression model, that same type of thing of, people can only handle so much, so we think, hey, you should be eating this level, but they're clear over on the whole other end of the spectrum. When we go from eating, fast food every day to, oh, you're going to go to Whole Foods every day. And it's like, that's really not realistic, right? That's a year or 2, 3 maybe down the road. But
yeah,
right, so I like that approach. Lane, you had to follow up on it?
Yeah, just following up on this skill-based model, right, with nutrition, which I absolutely love that. Break it down for us a bit on some of the ways you like to, give us some examples of practices, right? If it's a skill, you go to practice, right? What is the common examples that you give your clients of, hey, this is practice this week, but for nutrition?
Okay, so the core 5 skills that we work on are eating mostly whole foods, plating foods in a balanced way, like plating our portion sizes, eating 3 to 4 meals a day, which is another way of saying not snacking between meals, eating just enough, like stopping when you're full, and eating when you're hungry. So and usually what we mean by that is like waiting 30 to 60 minutes of being hungry before eating. And so the last 3 of those skills, the eating just enough, basically stopping when full, the 3 to 4 meals, no snacks, and waiting until they're hungry to eat, all kind of triangulate on having people eat in a caloric deficit without having to count anything, right? And then the other way to hit that would be from the portion size, plating size, or plating different portions. And we like to have our clients come at it from both directions and be able to use both. But essentially what we're getting at is a fairly intuitive model of eating where people learn what true hunger is versus like a craving or like the habit of snacking between meals or whatever. And we're teaching them to stop when they're full, which is great. So what that could look like is hey, this week I'm going to practice. So it could be, I'm going to do the 3 to 4 meals a day skill, right? So essentially like the not snacking skill. And I'm going to do that Monday through Friday. And so the practice could be 5 days. Or they could say, you know what? The only time I really like snack out of like boredom or like stress or whatever is in the afternoon. So I'm going to work on that skill between lunch and dinner, right? So those are 2 different ways that someone could scale it, where they might say, I'm going to do it 5 days and then work up to like 6 days the next week. Or they might say like, I'm going to work on this one chunk of day and then maybe expand that to the rest of the day. Or they could work on like just after dinner, or they could work on whatever they want. But that's how we scale it.
How many, sorry, real quick, Lane had a follow-up, I'm cutting him off. How many, if you're seeing a client once a week, how many skills are you giving them to work on a weekly basis?
Oh, this is hilarious. Because it was a big thing so for a really long time, we never gave anyone more than 1 skill at a time. Right. And the idea there was we were trying to give people one thing they could focus on, one thing that they could be really successful at. what we found is that a lot of clients, especially the way that our core 5 skills all kind of work together, a lot of clients actually do better working on all 5 at the same time. Which is a huge departure from what we've done for years.
Really? Wait. So I want to make sure I'm understanding. So you have them work on all 5 at the same time?
Sometimes we do 3 or 2 or 3, but we're not doing one. So okay, qualify. So if you look at like the research on learning, people can learn more robustly if we have them switching between a few things. But it's harder, and it's more it's harder. So it's one of those things where if someone can be fairly successful with 3, they'll actually be like more successful faster. But if someone really lacks confidence, then we're gonna start with 1 and have them really nail it. So for years we did 1 at a time, just because so many of our clients had failed so many times with diets, we wanted to build confidence, you know. But now we're finding that, especially with like meals, not snacks, eating just enough and waiting till hungry to eat, that people are doing better doing all 3 at the same time if it's scaled appropriately, and if they don't have to feel like they're nailing all 3 every day. So like,
I guess if you're setting kind of some fairly low expectations in the beginning, you know, just kind of some fairly low bars for them to hit. That makes more sense.
Yeah, but that's also a big departure from the book. That's also a big departure from the book. Like in the book, it's like 1 at a time, and yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to summarize, make sure we're all understanding what you're saying, Josh.
Yeah.
Essentially, just like as a coach, if I'm teaching a deadlift and I'm helping my clients have awareness of where their body is in space, and they're practicing that skill over time, you're doing the same thing with nutrition, where you're helping their body to have awareness of, their hunger signals, having awareness of, their snacking patterns, and practice of the skills over time, just like I would help someone get better at their single leg deadlift over time. Right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it keeps going a layer deeper, just like in exactly the same way. Like you could have someone deadlifting and you're focusing on pushing through the floor, or you're focusing on bracing, or you're focusing on their hip position, you're kind of working on all those things at the same time, but over time you're going to go deeper on all of those things. So yeah, it's exactly the same.
Awesome. No, perfect. Okay, so I'm going to, Ashley had a few questions. I'm going to spotlight her real quick. Ashley's our dietitian here at Vasa. Go ahead, Ashley, what you got?
Yeah, Josh, so I was just wondering for our trainers that don't...
Can you speak up, Ashley? I'm having a hard time hearing you.
Yeah, it's super quiet.
Can you hear me better?
Yeah,
there we go.
Okay. I took off my headphones. So for our trainers that don't have a ton of time right now to talk about nutrition, or even have the background and experience that you have, what do you think is the most efficient way that they can get fat loss and results for their clients in that limited amount of time?
That's a great question.
Let me also wait. I need to interject on this one. One thing, Josh, so we're on the same page.
Yeah.
From a philosophy standpoint at Vasa, we've kind of taken a step back on nutrition. Mainly because we're working a lot with our coaches on movement, on that sort of thing, and so now we're introducing some nutrition things. We've kind of introduced it to a couple different clubs and things. So keep that in mind as you're answering that question.
Okay. So in the gym, I always use a 3-step coaching session, which is essentially like, what did you do last week? What food skill are we going to work on next week? And how much? Like the Goldilocksing, right? What skill or skills? If they're short on time, I really would do only 1 skill at a time, because you just don't have a lot of time to talk about it, right? So it could be while someone's warming up, like, hey, how'd your food skill practice go last week? What'd you notice? What'd you notice is a great question. Open-ended questions are great. And then helping them pick so they tell you about last week, right? And then you're like, oh, okay. So it sounds like it would be really cool to work on that same skill again, and maybe just do more. Or it sounds like maybe we should add another skill. And these are like 2 or 3 skills that sound like they might work for you. They might be good for next week. Which one do you think would be the best one to work on? And that's super key to let them choose the skill and to let them choose how much. It's super key for anything that you're coaching that they're not in front of you, that they get to play an active role in creating that plan. Otherwise they won't do it. Right? Like this is another one of those like diet versus skill things. Like if I'm telling them, they may do it or they may not. But if they get to choose, then that'll make a big difference. Then they pick a skill, and then so if I was one of your trainers, I might have a clipboard of the skills you guys believe in, or whatever. However you guys manage people's programs, somewhere have your list of skills that you guys believe in food wise, and then like pick 3 that they can do next week, and let them pick one of those to actually practice, and then you just ask them how the practice goes.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great approach. I like the whole skills mentality, right? And I like the fact that you're taking something and you're having them work on it and then following up, and then it's essentially training, right? It's the same exact thing. Hey, we did this last week. How did we do? Now we're going back in it.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Yeah.
Go ahead. I know you have some other questions on that.
Yeah. So you talk about in your book those clients that are the chronic dieters that kind of need to go into that refeeding process for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I don't do that anymore.
Discuss that with those clients, and then how do you have that conversation? Because most of those clients, they don't want to hear that, from what I found.
Yeah, I don't do that in the same way anymore. Usually, and I don't know that I was right about that.
Dude, sorry, Josh. Sorry. I need to point this out, okay? This is very important. I need all of the trainers on here. This is important. This is good. I like that you just did this, Josh. This is good. The guy just admitted that he may have done something wrong. That's great. And the reason I say that, guys, and the reason I'm pointing this out is because he's not that guy that's going, oh, I got all the answers. Yeah, this is it, folks. I've been doing this for years. I got all the answers. He's going, hey, look, I think I screwed that up. Right? I love that, Josh. Dude, that is awesome. Go ahead.
So I'm actually writing a new book because so much of what we do has changed in the last 4 years. So yeah, that's absolutely. I'll probably have to write a new book every 4 years because you learn things and things change. So yeah, I don't do that anymore. What we do get a lot of clients that we do have is clients that are in like a cycle of like over dieting and then not quite like binging, but like they'll basically starve themselves way too much and then snap and eat way more than they feel comfortable with. And we get clients like that all the time that have just been, every time they've done that, they've dieted harder and then they've snapped harder and like that. And so for them, I might do something a little bit like that, but really I'm just focused on them getting in 3 meals and then those 3 meals being balanced and them getting enough. And I'm having conversations with them about how that cycle is so harsh and it only goes downhill, that we need to get even before we can do weight loss again. We just need to get back to like even meals, no free days, which that's a whole other concept. One thing we don't do free days. We don't do black and white food kinds of things. We try and work in treats as needed and manage them in based on their values. We talk about working it, but we try to always limit like free day diet. We're always trying to.
I think that's really cool because it makes it a lot easier for you to even standardize this process to more of your clients because you're really just getting them into those same habitual behaviors. I was also wondering how you have that conversation. You talk about when clients are done, like they hit that body fat percentage and you're like, you're done, How do you have that conversation with them when they've been working so hard on fat loss with you for so long?
Oh, like to when they don't want to stop?
Yeah.
And I try and get them to.
Yeah.
So this is one of those things that here's what I've learned. This is something that you want to be hitting all along the way. That I want to. So I started with like like they're telling me about their goals and they're telling me about their values. They're telling me about their goals and I'm listening for their values. And I'm trying to have conversations about their values all the time. And I'm trying to listen for and things that they're saying that they, usually what I'm listening for is things that are like more reasonable, more taking care of themselves, ways they want to do self-care, ways they want to set a good example for their kids. Like I'm listening for all those kinds of things. And I'm trying to, like, every single week, bring it back to that. Every time they're down on the scale, I'm bringing it back. They're like, oh yeah, I'm down 5 pounds or I'm down 3% or whatever. I'm like, sweet. Let's take a look at the skills that you got to get here. And we talk about the skills. We don't talk about the weight. Like, I'm glad that's down. And let's talk about the skills that had you do that. And then let's talk about like the way that you're living your values. And if we keep having these conversations about their values and I keep getting interested in the kind of person that they want to be, usually what happens is they have a shift in what they want their goals to be. And they'll actually usually tell me, I get a lot of clients now that come in, they want to lose 40 pounds. And after they lose 30 pounds, they're like, I'm good. Like I feel good about my life. I feel good about, like, they're actually stopping before they hit their original goal because they realize the kind of person they want to be, the kind of example they want to set, and they realize that they're already living it and they already feel pretty good about who they are in their body. And that's all in the world of building competence around food skills and building competence in the gym and them getting to shift how they know themselves. I'm trying to handle that all ahead of time. And so like I just said, people are actually stopping me now.
That's really cool because not only are you teaching your clients how to eat and how to change their life, but they're actually getting a healthy mentality about food and the behaviors. And I think we can all do a better job of that as trainers, is even with our training programs and everything, just bringing it back to why we're doing this, the functional training and everything. We're doing it so they can build those skills and those habits, the underlying why that we talk about all the time.
Yeah, and the thing is, if you're curious about what matters to them and you're listening to them and you're co-creating programs with them and you're building skills, they'll actually sort a lot of that stuff out on their own, just doing it. You know, the same way, like after someone's been in the gym for 2 years, like they're really like it's really integrated with the kind of person they are, and they've got all these like self-care reasons for doing it. They've got all these, you know, and they really like enjoy strength. And they kind of do that all on their own if they just have their autonomy supported. Like if it's a safe place for them to explore, and if they get to build skills and co-create the plan.
No, I like what you're saying, Josh, on building the skills and giving the client options, but you're giving them options within, you know, your system, right? You're not just telling them to, you know, hey, what do you want to do this week, right? Like I tell trainers all the time, if you're asking your client, hey, what do you want to do this week? Then you probably don't know what you're talking about as a trainer, right? And so I like the idea of having the skills that we know are going to work, and then utilizing those skills, and then giving them the option to be able to have some ownership of, you know, where they're at. And I like the listening to, you know, the client and having an understanding of, okay, you know, where are you at right now? Where do we need to get to? And then, okay, what are you going to do to get there? And making them take ownership of that. I love it. Awesome.
Yeah. One thing, I'm so glad you said that, because that's so legit. They're on tracks. Right, they get to pick their track, but they're not picking from nowhere. And it's also different coaching things outside of the gym versus in the gym. In the gym is naturally more directive, and like more directive coaching works. Outside of the gym, we have to give options, or they won't do it. In the gym, I'm more like, hey, here's your pro.
No, you're exactly right. No, I can't. No, dude, that is because they're having to do that. That's an important thing to point out. They're having to do the skill on their own outside of the gym. That's one reason why I'm not a huge fan of nutrition programs, because of the little control that you have as a trainer, you know, when they walk out the door. You know, I mean, I can sit and tell them to stop shoving bonbons in their mouth all day, but I'm not there to, you know, stop their hand from doing it. Right. And so, no, I like that's awesome. That is awesome. I want to be respectful to your time. I do want to point out real quick, Mr. Nick Remy, he got this all set up for us. Nick, do you have any? I asked a lot of Nick's questions for him, and like at the beginning were from Nick. But Nick, did you have any follow up? I wanted to make sure I.
No, I just wanted to say though, like Josh, like I called him the other day and we set aside like 15 minutes, I think, to call. And we ended up geeking out for like over an hour, I think.
Yeah, it was awesome.
That's how so cool Josh is. Like he can sit here and talk to us for days about what he does. And so it's pretty amazing. So thanks so much for hopping on this for us.
Sure, dude. This is fun.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Josh. We do want to recap kind of those 5. We've got one of the guys asking just to recap those 5 rules. You mind kind of recapping those real quick for us?
Yeah. So eating mostly whole foods. Key is mostly. Plating. So the way we plate is basically like half the food, vegetables, a quarter of the plate, protein, quarter plate, carbohydrates, and like a tablespoon fat as like a guideline, as like a place to start for portion sizing. Eating just enough is a really big skill that we actually break down into probably like 9 other skills. But it's the process of paying attention to how much I ate, like paying attention to how full I'm getting during the meal, and or playing the game of like guessing, like eating half to most of the meal and guessing like, was this enough to get me to dinner, and like recalibrating that. Which is a really cool game for people to play, to start being like, that didn't feel like enough, but it got me to dinner, or that felt like enough and then I was too hungry. And so playing this game where they actually get to calibrate their own fullness signals. Then there's waiting till hungry to eat, which is usually being hungry for like 30 to 60 minutes before your next meal. So that hits a lot of different things, but it's one of those things where if they're eating just enough at the previous meal, then they're going to be hungry right before that next meal. And if they're not hungry before the next meal, then that's a big deal. If they're hungry like 3 hours before the next meal, then that's also not workable, right? And we also get to have conversations about what's true hunger and what's just a craving, and there's filters for that. And then eating just enough, 3 to 4 meals a day, waiting till hungry to eat, plating, portion sizes. That's all 5. One thing I want to be really clear about is that those are skills, not rules. And rules is where we get into like a diet world, and the rigidity of diets is what makes them fragile, right? So the reason that diets break is because people have natural ebbs and flows of their stress level, their schedule, all that kind of stuff. At some point, rules are going to break. And so we don't want to take skills and treat them like rules. The skills are to support them. The skills are tools. And so we want to treat it like a skill. We want to let them dial it up or dial it back. If they're having a crazy week, we want to let them do less. We want to actually encourage them to do less and still stay in the game. So it's not a rule, but those are the 5 skills. If you guys want those, they're all over onebyOneNutrition.com. We actually have our skills map posted.
Awesome. See, that's awesome. I really like the idea that you have on skills versus rules. That mentality. I love when I can have a conversation with someone like this, Josh, and I'm going to lead this conversation, and my vocabulary is going to change, and how I talk to people is going to change. That's awesome. I
love it. Thanks, dude.
So, man, we appreciate you being on here with us this morning. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Nick, thanks for getting us all set up. The website again, what was the website, Josh?
onebyOneNutrition.com.
So is that O-N-E?
Yeah. All spelled out.
onebyOneNutrition.com.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, so you heard it from the man himself, onebyOneNutrition.com. Go and check it out. Nick, send me Josh's number. We got to take him out to lunch while we're here in Colorado. I can't believe we didn't do this in person. We'll fix it next time, Josh. But we're going to get you out to lunch this week.
Okay,
if you're able to make it.
Sure.
You're the man. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
For being on, man.
Sure, dude.
You're
Thanks for having me. See you, everyone.
Talk to you guys later. Have a wonderful, what's today? Wednesday? Have a wonderful Wednesday. Woo! Coaches.